So now we move on to our session, and it is my great privilege and honor to welcome Mr. Tauch at our meeting. You should know that Tauch is really a very, very special person. If there is something like a European Bologna mafia, then I really think he qualifies for being part of it. Because I dare to say that at this moment, he is the person in the European Commission who is probably best informed about higher education at all. And I'm very sure that he is going to leave the Commission very soon. But his expertise in relation to European cooperation and higher education in the Bologna process, I think is unique. He has done a lot of work as part of the German practice conference. He has been involved with many of the reports that have been produced on Bologna. I think we were involved with some of the French reports, I think, in cooperation with the EUA. And then he has worked for 5 years with the Commission, specifically in the area of higher education. So I think it's really wonderful that you were able to come here. We're aware that you're moving back to Germany, that you're very busy right now, so very, very grateful for the time. Prchal is going to be talking to us about a new initiative called Youth on the Move. And this is really kind of, I would say, hot off the press, because it has been presented only last Wednesday by the EU Commissioner. So we'll be getting some very, very special new information about what this is all about. And then afterwards, maybe we'll be able also to talk a little bit more about the higher education developments in general. So, Commissioner, already thank you very much, and please react to it.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for your kind words of introduction, Martin. There's also always a dubious way of being introduced, because the worst thing that now can happen to me is that you ask me a question about Bologna, which I can't answer after having raised the expectations so high. Anyway, Bologna is not the main topic of my presentation today, but rather Youth on the Move, which, as Martin just said, has only been adopted 3 days ago, last Wednesday, by the Commission and been presented to the public. Maybe I should also think of the screen. A year ago, exactly a year ago, President Barroso presented himself to the European Parliament to inform it on his political priorities for his second term of office. You know that a new commission came into office earlier this year, in February, and President Barroso is again president of the commission, and so a year ago he presented his first rough outline of what he intended to do during his second term of office to the Parliament, and there he, for the first time mentioned the title Youth on the Move. He said that it's his idea that by 2020, in 10 years' time, all young Europeans should have the opportunity to be mobile, to spend part of their education or training itinerary in another European country. So we didn't say everyone has to be mobile, but everyone should have the opportunity to be mobile by then. And he called that idea Youth on the Move. But after that presentation, the Commission's mills started to grind and see what to make out of these very rough sketches that Barroso had given to Parliament, and Youth on the Move has now turned into something that goes way beyond mobility, as you will see. It's the first ever initiative of the Commission that comes from both the Directorate General for Education and the Directorate General for Employment. It's a co-initiative to aiming at young people, to help them get good education and training, and then also help them with the transition to the labor market. That's the new thing. It's the first integrated strategy for young people embracing both education, training, and employment, and it's one of 7 so-called flagship initiatives that the new Commission is presenting as beacons, as guiding lights for their political strategies over the next years. One has already been adopted earlier this year. It's the digital agenda about how to develop internet and all electronic means and media in Europe over the next years. And now we're having this one here, and there will be more to come later this year. For example, new skills and jobs, and also the innovation agenda and so on. So that is one of the 7 priorities of the new Commission. Why? No, sorry. Yes, I finished with that one. Why did the Commission take this initiative? Because 20% roughly of Europeans belong to the young generation, 100 million, and on the other hand, we expect that job requirements will increase greatly over the next years. By 2020, it's estimated that 35%, more than a third, of all jobs will require high-level qualifications, whereas today it's less than 30%. That is what moving towards the knowledge economy is all about. On the other hand, yet again, we have too many young people leaving school early. You're certainly also familiar with the regular PISA assessments throughout the OECD countries that show that in the EU countries we have too many dropouts from school. 15%, I find that really difficult to believe. 15% of the 18 to 24-year-olds have less than upper secondary education because they leave school early. And we have relatively few people with a higher education degree, as the OECD, again OECD, report the other day, Education at a Glance, showed. Whereas the US have more than 40% and Japan even more than 50%. And finally, youth unemployment is shockingly high, 21% all over the EU. In some countries it's much better than that, but that means that in others it's far worse than 21. So all these reasons and factors together convinced the Commission to come up with an overarching initiative, and 2 benchmarks have already been defined as part of the overall strategy, Europe 2020, namely that the percentage of school leavers should be brought down from almost 15% in 2008 to a maximum of 10% by 2020, and on the other hand, the higher education attainment should be brought up from 31% in 2008 to at least 40% by 2020. Youth on the Move consists of 4 action lines. Firstly, modern education or modernizing education and training systems. Secondly, higher education. Thirdly, mobility, both for learning and for employment. And then fourth point, specific measures to improve the youth employment situation. What does Youth on the Move say about modernizing the education and training systems? It calls on member states to make sure that their education and training systems deliver key competences and excellence at all levels, school education, vocational, and so on. It calls on them to provide better targeted and sustained and enhanced investment into their education systems, to reduce school leaving. We just looked at that to modernize the vocational education and training system. That's a very, it may seem remote to you, but it's a very important point. In many EU member states, youth unemployment is so high because the VET system doesn't prepare young people properly for the labour market. And to expand non-formal and informal learning and the recognition of non-formal and informal learning, especially for people from less privileged backgrounds. So the Commission proposes a number of key actions in that area. It's worth